occupation as a method of dialogue. So, if anyone has any questions about what we're doing in Cornwall, then please ask me now.
So for my job, I'm an editor for a NGO that works with people in humanitarian crises. And so my job every day is to basically read stories about people who are affected by extreme weather, by failed floods. In Somalia, for example, they've just had no rains for the 6th year running. In South Sudan, they've got catastrophic flooding, which has just obliterated people's homes and farming land and has not receded. So this idea that we have about climate change, that it's something that's going to come in the future and be bad, is wrong. It's happening now. People are dying now. Children are dying now because they are always the most vulnerable. And really, we're not doing anywhere near enough to take really decisive action to prevent that happening on an even greater scale than it is already. And I think the disregard for human life that shows from governments is disgusting. And I think it's really important that as people we come together and we show that it's not good enough and that we don't agree with it and that we won't be complicit in this neglect.
And how do we go from having action like this here today to actually getting the systemic change needed to address the climate crisis?
I mean, that's a really great question, and I think it's one that lots of people ask. I think the number of people here today shows the level of desire for change. So we can do things based from like the simplest things like voting the right way, looking at, like, none of the past amazing Green Party is obviously good, but like making choices where we think that it's going to be best for the climate, right down to getting involved in stuff at the community level, something simple as join your local cycling campaign and push for better bike infrastructure in your local area. It sounds small, but we know that if we can get more people moving onto sustainable forms of transport, that needs to happen at a local level, and if we can get that happening, that's just one example of how people can make a difference to improve things for the climate near them.
Are you optimistic for the future?
No.
Obviously climate change, biodiversity loss are huge problems that we kind of face massive consequences as a result. So I think it's important to address these kind of peaceful collective actions are an important way of raising awareness and kind of encouraging sort of political action, business action, whatever.
And how do you think that you get from a day of action like this to actually fundamentally changing the way that we do things in order to bring about the change that is needed to address the climate crisis?
That's a big question. So I think that's a big and difficult question. But I think these kind of collective actions just sort of be a space where we can start having these kind of conversations and start kind of raising awareness, getting different ideas, discuss, kind of bring people together, and then from there you kind of start to put pressure on politicians, institutions, businesses, social systems. It's not easy because there are vested interests and opposing interests, so that's not to say that it's simple, but I think that's kind of how we see it addressing.
Are you optimistic for the future?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be optimistic and say yes.
I just feel like, firstly, people don't know enough about climate change. So I think partly just to raise awareness, get people together, and yeah, have a good day, hopefully, outside Parliament, create some change.
And how do we go from having action like this here to actually getting the systemic change needed to address the climate crisis?
Yeah, well, I think firstly just having that community in the first place, and then writing to your local MP, doing protests like this to make it clear that actually we do really want change. So yeah, write to your local MP.
Are you optimistic for the future?
I am, because I feel like you've got to be, otherwise what's the point in being here?
I just don't think there's been enough action from people who are in power to make a reasonable difference to our futures, and I just think it's going to be an absolute catastrophe unless things change extremely quickly. A lot of the indicators are very negative and not encouraging. So, and I'm not even convinced that having this many people on the streets is going to make a difference.
Well, that was going to be my next question: is how do you get from having action like this today to actually getting the fundamental change needed to solve the climate crisis?
Yes, I ask myself that on a very regular basis. So I'm here to put my body on the street, but at the same time I'm wondering, looking back in 10, 15 years' time, it may be that this wasn't enough and people should have been doing more drastic things. And part of me does sympathise with Just Stop Oil, and I think they're more disruptive and direct action is probably going to be the way forward, I think, even though it doesn't necessarily get the public's approval.
Are you optimistic for the future?
No.
Well, I'm a marine biologist, so I've spent my whole career kind of researching the impacts of people and our activities on the ocean, and I've seen directly, the impact that we have, and we don't necessarily see it because we have waste removal services, we have money, but when you see the amount of rubbish that builds up elsewhere and the impacts it has on coastal communities that have very little money, it becomes really important. I think we take for granted a lot of the way that we can shop. So you go to the shops and you buy your laundry detergent, your shampoo and whatever, and it comes in big bottles. But if you go to the Philippines, Middle East, everything is in single sachets because the people can't afford to buy a bottle of shampoo. So they have to buy each day, every dose is individually wrapped in plastic. There's no waste removal paid for by the government on the island. So the only way they can deal with it is to either burn it or throw it into the nature. So, they don't have the option to be more sustainable, and that's something that big corporations, P&G, these places really need to provide for those countries.
And how do you go from having action like this to actually getting the systemic change needed to address the climate crisis?
That's always the big question, isn't it? I think everyone doing what they can, but it's take action, vote, speak to your local councillors, speak to people, become part of community groups. Every little does help, and if people, every big change throughout history has come from people standing up for what they believe in. So just attack on all fronts.
Are you optimistic for the future?
Yes.
It's a really important issue for all of us. I've got younger children as well. I wanted to bring Alex, so this is her first March. She's not seen anything like this. I think it's really important. She really enjoyed.
Are you optimistic for the future?
Terrifies me. My youngest son's 6, so he doesn't like going to school, and he says, "Why do I have to go?" And I'm like, I don't know. Parents going to be able to have it by the time you're 35, so why can't we just hang out in the woods? Chill. So it's really scary, and I wish I'd known a bit more aware about the issues that we're facing, their generation, before I had to make it's back to guilt.
Do you think that action like this can actually deliver the change needed?
If they listen, I don't think they will yet. I think it probably needs to go a little further. I don't know how dark things have to get before they're actually going to make the action. But I hope that the amount of people here makes me optimistic. Makes me think that there can be change. That's important.
Mental health and just being surrounded by all these incredible people, knowing that they have the same feelings, the same cares and concerns that I do, it brings so much hope. I think for activists who are trying to do the right thing, trying to save the planet effectively, but we need to have that community kind of togetherness. But politically, I just think that the world is falling deeper and deeper into crisis. Scientists have been saying for decades and decades, warning of increasing problems of extinction and also the climate crisis. Science is so clear and the government's just not doing enough. And even to the absolute obvious things like opening new coal mines, giving licenses to new oil and gas, subsidising oil and gas companies at the same time as saying, they're massively greenwashing, saying that they're committed to net zero, and they love to say that they are one of the most progressive governments in the world on these issues, and it's just not true. And I think we need to be here to try to help everyone else wake up and realise what's happening, get people out of the state of denial.
And so how do we go from having action like this to actually getting the systemic change needed to address the climate crisis?
It's a really good question, and I guess that's what so many of these groups have been trying to address for decades. I think what Extinction Rebellion are doing this year is really important, having this much more inclusive coalition building attempt, trying to bring in lots of other big environmental groups, Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth and so on, who might have been nervous previously about what they perceived as more radical action. I think that's really important. But then also we need this huge spectrum of the more radical groups, the Insulate Britain, the Just Stop Oil groups, to really speak truth to power and trying to bring the masses kind of with us, as it were. But it's ultimately not about getting every individual to believe in the project necessarily. It's really speaking truth to power, it's getting government. That's why we have to be here focusing in Westminster rather than disrupting individuals' lives. I think that will hopefully help the person around the UK, but also get
Are you optimistic for the future?
Yes, I am. I'm a teacher, I work with young people. They give me so much hope. I kind of lead environmental campaigns initiatives at my school. That is what gives me hope. Although I'm very keen not to put the emphasis on Gen Z or whatever, that I'm not relying on them to solve the problems. But I am incredibly hopeful. I do think we are in a really important period of change when people are waking up across all generations, coming here, seeing this kind of incredible energy, incredible passion and commitment, dedication. I think it can only get better. I think it'll get worse before it gets better, but I do think as a global community we're at a tipping point now. I'm hopeful. If I don't have hope, then I've got nothing, so I need to feel that. But yeah, I am hopeful.
As a youth activist, it's quite important because we are the next generation, and so what happens today, what happens in the next few weeks decides our future. I don't see a lot of youth activism or youth engagement, and it's really worrying because we're the next generation and the future is our next steps. And so when we engage and when we're actively participating in what we're doing today, we're showing that we care for our future, and that means the government might just listen to us.
So when it comes to the next generations organising, how do we go from having action like this to actually getting the systemic change needed to address the climate crisis?
I think the action that we're doing right now is bringing attention towards the change that we want, and so by the government looking and saying, wow, there's so many people that want change and need change, hopefully they get the idea that maybe change is needed, and so through the amount of people out here, which is the kind of aim of today, like getting as many people as possible, we can try and get some change happening and hopefully save the earth.
Are you optimistic for the future?
I think it would be optimistic to say I am optimistic, but to be honest, I'm not. Because the rate we're going, we already said that we'll try and get to net zero by 2030. That's not going to happen. I'll be honest, that's not going to happen in the next 7 years. So I'm not optimistic, but I think if we act now, act today, then hopefully someday in the future we can be optimistic.